Good morning. It's another beautiful Saturday morning and we are back. This is New Day Saturday edition, your factual, propaganda-free and intellectually stimulating Saturday morning news analysis show. My name is Abna Tebi. Once again, you're welcome. We're live on TV3 here in Accra. We're also live on Connect 97.1 FM in Takoradi. And we're streaming live on the internet at 3news.com. We're also streaming live on GhanaWeb.com and on our Facebook page, 3 News. We'll be running from now till just about 10 minutes to the top of the hour, 10 o'clock, where conversations here will come to a close. As usual, we have a number of topics lined up. I'll quickly run us through these topics. Of course, we'll start off with Justice Sophia Ekufu, nominated by the President for appointment as Chief Justice to take over from Her Ladyship, Justice Georgina Theodora Wood. And we do know that Chief Justice Theodora Georgina Wood retires in less than a month. Now, following anxious moments as to who was going to replace her, the President finally settled on Justice Sophia Ekufu as the next Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. Indeed, she springs a surprise as she wasn't one of the speculated contenders until just about a couple of days to the announcement of her nomination, when some media houses started speculating that she could very well spring a surprise, and indeed she did. Congratulations to your ladyship, Sophia Ekufu, on your nomination. Indeed, you truly inspire some of us, and we want to be like you when we grow up, as they say. Per Article 1441 of the 1992 Constitution, having been nominated by the President in consultation with the Council of State, Justice Sophia Ekufu would have to be approved by Parliament when the House resumes later this month. Now, Justice Sophia Ekufu has served for about 22 years at the Supreme Court, following her appointment in 1995 by the then President, His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings, under the NDC-1 administration. On the show this morning, we're going to look at how her nomination, if and finally when approved or if approved by Parliament, how she will be able to impact the judicial system of Ghana as Chief Justice, especially as she comes in at a time when there are a number of reforms underway in the judicial system. We'll also go to look at the feud, if you like, between Madam Otiko Jaba and Chairman Bugri Nabu. You will recall that the two clashed last Friday after Mr. Bugri Nabu reportedly disrupted a meeting that was being held by Madam Otiko Afisa Jaba in the northern region. Now, according to him, that's Mr. Bugri Nabu, Madam Otiko Jaba went to the region to convene the set meeting without recourse to him. In other words, the meeting was organized without his prior knowledge and consent. Now, following the incident, the two resorted to wild allegations against each other in the media. They've apologized subsequently over the public outburst, with Mr. Bugri Nabu confessing that some allegations of criminal activity against Madam Otiko Jaba and the Upper East Regional Minister, Minister Bukari, are baseless. Now, some may call this an internal party wrangling, but for others, it's an issue of managing the relationship between government and the ruling political party as a separate entity. We'll be discussing this issue within that context, but also we shall be looking at how the dispute was resolved by the National Council of the NPP to ascertain whether in the case of this nature, where party officials clash with government officials who double as party officials, the decision reached by the National Council is the most appropriate of decisions. We'll be interrogating that. The panel will definitely do justice to this topic. And of course, we'll turn our attention to the fight against Galamsey and the twists and turns that have come up in recent times. Excuse me. Now, for a moment, we thought we had made some progress in our battle against Galamsey, but that was obviously short-lived. Last week, some media houses intercepted a BNI report that suggests complicity of some high-ranking members of our society, including chiefs, politicians, members of the security services, etc. Now, this week, we hear reports of some Galamseyers going back to the trade. Among these being a Chinese kingpin. We shall be looking at some more. Now, clearly, there's a battle between the parochial interests of some few people or a small section of our society and the greater interest of the people of this country, including posterity. We shall be looking at the prospects of winning this battle against Galamsey, and we'll do this against the backdrop of revelations of high-ranking personalities deeply involved, some allegedly featuring in sex tapes, which are now allegedly being used to blackmail them. Indeed, that's how bad the situation is. We'll also touch on armyworm infestation causing havoc on our farmlands and crops. These are the issues we've lined up for discussion this morning. It promises to be exciting as usual. We'll take a break. When we come back, I will introduce the August panel for today's discussions. This is New Day Saturday edition. We'll be right back.
And is supported by 3FM 92.7 Accra.
When the news breaks, reporters and anchors broadcast it. Analysts will talk about the impact of this on society. But current affairs will set the agenda for policymakers to implement it. This is what we do on Agenda. It's sharp, authentic, and hard-hitting. My name is Deborah Kwabla. Join us as we set the agenda.
Agenda now shows on Sundays at 3 p.m. only on TV3 and is supported by 3FM 92.7 Accra.
When the news breaks, reporters and anchors broadcast it. Analysts will talk about the impact of this on society. But current affairs will set the agenda for policymakers to implement it. This is what we do on Agenda. It's sharp, authentic, and hard-hitting. My name is Deborah Kwabla. Join us as we set the agenda.
Agenda now shows on Sundays at 3 p.m. only on TV3 and is supported by 3FM 92.7 Accra.
When the news breaks, reporters and anchors broadcast it. Analysts will talk about the impact of this on society. But current affairs will set the agenda for policymakers to implement it. This is what we do on Agenda. It's sharp, authentic, and hard-hitting. My name is Deborah Kwabla. Join us as we set the agenda.
Agenda now shows on Sundays at 3 p.m. only on TV3 and is
several top matches, top-level competitions, various sporting disciplines that have been spread across. It can get a bit confusing, but no more because of our new show, Warm Up. What would you do with over £200,000? You can't imagine, right? That is what your favorite footballer, Cristiano Ronaldo, earns per week. Now, let me show you this. That is one of the world's most expensive, a Cognizant CCXR Trevetta. Floyd Mayweather, he cruises into his gym with this. Now, would you like a tour to the Baby Jet Mansion? The Basilica is what it's called. Your Saturday mornings just got better. Join me, Thierry Nyan, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on TV3 and 3FM for more juicy information on your sports personalities and what they're doing when they're not kicking for fame and glory.
After going around the country in search for the strongest man in Ghana with auditions, 4 main zones, the final eliminator is here. 20 athletes will compete, only 12 will make it to the main show. Let's come together
at Accra International Trade Fair Center
to witness the start of the journey of who named Ghana's strongest man. Date 13th May 2017. Venue
Accra International Trade Fair Center.
Time 2 p.m. sharp.
Ghana's strongest, the power to do.
Ghana's Strongest is brought to you by Mixi Choco, Channel Hot, and supported by 3FM 92.7, Unya 95.1 FM, Connect FM in Takrady, and Akuma FM in Kumasi.
This Saturday on Music.
This Saturday is a special edition of Music.
Baby, I will be Fabi, I will be a Sedam Kura, Boy, found wedding canyon, boy, you don't know this is Cool Face, aka Rasta, for me, aka your father is a rich man. And as you know, catch me live this Saturday inside TV3 premises. It's music, larger than life.
Meet me this Saturday on TV3. I'm talking about music. Come, let's make it bigger and better. It's going to be boom. All the Sheriff Agunu fans, you know, I'm in for you. This Saturday, don't make late.
She will swim against the tide for him and to win the fight.
She's a rock, solid as a rock. Hi Ghana, this is your Afro Sound Spread, Lily M. Catch me live on TV3 this Saturday on Music.
Music.
It's bigger.
It's bigger.
Be there.
Music this Saturday at 8 p.m. Studio audience must be seated at 7 p.m. sharp at TV3 Studio B. Music is brought to you by Heaven Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil and supported by Unya FM 95.1 in Accra. Music, it's bigger.
Welcome back. This is New Day Saturday edition live on TV3. We are also streaming live on our Facebook page, TV3 News, also on GhanaWeb.com and 3news.com. Let me quickly introduce the panel for today's discussions. From my far left, we have Dr. Ahmed Jinapo. He is the head at the Department of Childhood Education at the University of Winneba. Next is Honorable Murtala Mohammed, former MP for Nanton constituency, representing the NDC. Next is Professor Alex Dodu. He's a professor at the University of Ghana Medical School. And last but not least is the Honorable Obi Amwa, MP for Ikwapim South and Deputy Minister for Local Government and Rural Development. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
You're welcome. It's good to have you here. Quickly, let me also announce our WhatsApp line, 050-060-7070. So kindly send in your messages, contributions ahead of time as we go on with our discussions. The WhatsApp number again is 050-060-7070. Please watch out for it on your screens shortly. So we'll start off with the nomination of Justice Ofoye Kufu as CJ, of course, pending the approval of Parliament. Quickly, let me start. Honorable Obiamo. Justice Okufu didn't come into the race until just a couple of days, perhaps. Were you surprised by this nomination announcement?
Well, first of all, good morning to you, to fellow panelists, and to the good people of Ghana. Well, if you say the race, I'm wondering who was.
Just clearly the names, Justice Doche, Eninya, but the speculations out there.
Very well, speculation.
Yes.
But more or less, it depended on the president himself, maybe taking a decision with maybe his advisors, and then forwarding the letter to the Council of State that is in consultation with the Council of State.
Right.
But as to whether it's a surprise, I don't find it surprising at all, for various reasons. In the first place, even though people say that Justice Atukuba is the most senior, indeed, both of them were approved on the same day and sworn in on the same day, except that probably one was sworn in before the other and became senior.
Yeah.
It's just like saying that deputy ministers when it comes to swearing in, I was sworn in before somebody else, so I am senior. But probably for purposes of maybe maintaining certain kind of order and discipline, that in the absence of the Chief Justice, this person will deputize simply because maybe he was sworn in before. But the same day, so they all went to the bench on the same day. So when it comes to seniority, they are at par. Then number two, if you look at the fact that the CJ is required to retire at 70, then obviously in choosing who should be the next CJ, if you want to pick from the bench, you may want to look at the most senior, but you are not obliged to do that.
Right.
But in looking at the most senior, you may also want to look at some continuity and stability. Stability in the sense that the nominee, the person to be made a CJ, has about 3.5 years to go. She retires in December 2019. And so between now and 2019, you can say that there will be some stability and continuity. If you compare with Jasa Tuguba, he retires earlier. So the president may think that, why don't you pick somebody who will run for some time, and when her term ends, I'll have the opportunity to nominate somebody again.
Right.
So, as for surprise, I don't think, okay, for some of us in the legal profession, I don't think most of us will say that we were surprised, except that initially, the media, as usual,
settled on a number of...
started campaigning for people.
Doc, let me hear you
on
this, your take on this issue, the name that's come up.
We'll come back to you.
Yes, we'll definitely come back to interrogate certain things.
Well, I think, first of all, let me congratulate Madam Sophia Kufu. It's an honor to be nominated to take such a high position. I mean, that's the 4th highest position in Ghana. And I haven't known her that much. Except recently that her name popped up as a result of this Montier 3 issue. But if you look at listen to the commentary from both sides of the political aisle, I mean, people within the legal fraternity, she's somebody who is very solid. And what I'm even more impressed about her is her sense of integrity, that she's a very honest woman and stuff like that. I think it's very important and relevant within the context of this discussion, especially when you cast your mind back to some time back when Georgina Wood was appointed. I mean, you realize the brouhaha that was going on, legitimately so, especially as a result of some of the cases that she had just sat on. You understand? And even when her second term was coming into being, we had a woman who came to make some public pronouncements regarding some land and all those issues. And those things are very important. When it comes to this particular lady, I haven't heard anything of that sort, and I think it's commendable. That said, you see, the position of a Chief Justice is one that in some advanced countries, even a Justice of the Supreme Court, in some advanced countries like the United States, they hold it in high esteem. And in fact, it's always been a force where you see ideological battles. Ideological battles. And I've seen presidents who have applauded themselves and more or less see their appointment of a Chief Justice as an achievement. George Bush, when he appointed Roberts, he said, one of my achievements is the appointment of what? Roberts. It talks about judgment, your judgment. I mean, the person that you appointed, what does it say? Unfortunately, in Ghana, and I mean, it's understandable, we are not that developed. If you're looking at a chief judge, you're looking at somebody who will try to iron out corruption, who will try to ensure that there's what justice delivery.
But we give it the same level of reverence, though.
Well, but I mean, can you talk about Sophia Kufu's ideological stance? I mean, we haven't gotten there. Well, but it's not. I mean, if you take our justices, for instance, I mean, you are looking at where do they swing to ideologically? Do you understand? Where do they want to see the judiciary moving to? But as I said, as a developing country, our interest is how you can ensure that what corruption is stamped out of what? The system. How can you ensure that there's fairness, there's efficiency when it comes to what? The judicial system. You understand what I'm saying? How can you ensure that, look, the perception of corruption, you remember this Anas issue that came up? It was so bad. But look, Honorable says she has about 2.5 years. I am interested in, I don't want to use the word foundation because there's already a foundation that has been laid by Madam.
How she picks up from where?
Yeah, she picks up, and she comes up with some innovative ideas. And I want to hear. I think she's going to be interviewed during. She's going to be vetted. She's going to be vetted. I'll be very interested, and particularly in hearing where she wants to move this country to in terms of our judicial system. But look, let's applaud her. Let's give her the benefit of doubt, and at least let's give her the chance to try to contribute her part. And I think she's done well for herself.
Right. I mean, I'll touch on something you raised there about the ideologies, because rightly so. I mean, elsewhere, the ideologies of the appointing authority would inform the choice of, you know, a justice to the apex court of the land, being the Supreme Court. I can't say for sure that we don't have that here, but I would want us to look at Justice Sophia Kufuor's, you know, nomination within a certain context. There's a woman who was appointed by His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings in 1995, and there's by an NDC government, a party considered to be a social democrat. 22 years down the lane on the Supreme Court, she's appointed or nominated by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, an NPP, you know, person, and an NPP is considered to be a capitalist. So clearly, you have these two ideological, I mean, like, positions converging in respect of one person. Do you see an implicit bipartisan consensus on this person? Which
not necessarily. Not necessarily, in the sense that, look, if you're appointed as a justice, it's different from being appointed as a chief justice. That's one thing. If you're appointed to the bench in 1995 and you are not able to demonstrate that you've improved, you are never going to be appointed as what? A chief justice. I mean, we start as assistant lecturers. Some of us end as lecturers. But some start as assistant lecturers, they get to full professor. You understand what I'm saying? That is the point. The point is that this lady was appointed in 1995 because she was what? She was qualified and competent. Maybe she was not appointed based on ideological reasoning. She was appointed by NDC because she was competent. Today, she's been appointed by somebody who happens to be in power today, who is Nana Addo.
From a different ideological background.
Yes, but because she's competent. That's the fact.
That's why I was asking, does that raise an implicit bipartisan consensus on who she is, her substance, her worth?
I don't want to get into the political angling of whether she was appointed by NDC or MPP. The fact is that even, let's play the devil's advocate, that if John Mahama was the president, would Sophia Kufuor be considered? Yes.
No, that's speculation because we don't know.
Yes, because she's qualified. Why is she qualified? She's qualified because she's, as Honorable Obi said, she and Atubuga are what? The two most senior most are the judiciary. She's had, if you look at her profile, she has extensive experience when it comes to education and stuff like that. So is she a qualified candidate? Yes. Would she have probably been appointed? Maybe no, but she would have been considered. So for the fact that she's considered shows that what? She's what? She's qualified.
Well, I will go around the table on this issue. Let me have, Honorable Kamasi, but let me have Honorable Mutale's take on this.
Well, let me also join my colleagues in congratulating her. And it doesn't matter the angle at which you look at it. The most important thing is that someone is appointed, and we need to commend the person for the appointment. We also expect a lot of neutrality and independence when it comes to issues of adjudicature. Of course, there are certain cases that certainly must be impaneled by the Chief Justice. That is one important role the Chief Justice plays. Among all other justices of the Supreme Court, I didn't know much about her until I went to the law school. And of course, you look at issues that she's somebody who is independent in dissent. I mean, she can dissent against the position of several justices on any case. And for me, that demonstrates how independent she is. The issue of who appointed her to the Supreme Court and who is appointing her as the CJ, for me, is neither here nor there. And that's
the reason why let me just touch on that. Perhaps the reason why it's coming up is against the backdrop of what is out in the media now, talking about the relations with the president and so on, that we're trying to remove that from the person and what she brings to bear, which is what, I mean, so far the speakers have attested to, that she's coming on board with a certain you know,
no,
integrity
why I don't
and
want
all
us,
of that.
Why I don't want us to look at that is that there's so much hypocrisy in this country. You have a government who never had his family relations serving as a government. You have a group of persons who now have the responsibility to govern this nation. Who said he was nepotic when he didn't have a single member of his family appointed? But we have a government now that is glittered with series of members of a family. The justification is that they are competent.
That's an issue that
I'm saying that the justification.
Exactly.
So you see, the justification is that they are competent, and that is why I don't want to look at that. That is why I want to look at. I'm coming. The reason why I don't want to look at that is that, unlike United States of America, where appointment of justices to the Supreme Court is based on ideological position, Donald Trump even boasted when he appointed Neil Gorsuch and said that, look, one of the biggest achievements that any president in America can do is to appoint a justice of the Supreme Court who is a conservative. Now, it is very clear the ideological position of justices to the Supreme Court in the United States of America. These are conservatives, these are liberal, and they don't hide that. To a very large extent, it doesn't necessarily affect the kind of decisions they take on matters of law or things that are brought before the United States Supreme Court. But in our case, we don't have that. I want to look at the competence. Now, on the issue of the fact that she and Justice Atuguba, you know, they were all appointed on the same day. Of course, Justice Atuguba was appointed before her. It doesn't matter whether a minute or, I mean, who took the oath. Okay, it doesn't still matter. Who is older in terms of legal practice? And I think that is another thing that you would have to look at. Now, the question.
Among many other factors.
Exactly. The argument that, okay, this person, his retiring age is just closer. If you want to stretch it that way, then we should have looked among the other justices and find out who has about 10 years or how many years. Please. No, if you want to look at that, because if you want to reduce it to the fact that Justice Atuguba will retire earlier than her, then we must go beyond Justice Atuguba and look at another justices in the Supreme Court, possibly who have 10 years or 7 years, longer years to retire. So I don't want us to reduce it to that. Please. The fact is that...
Don't jump into my
please.
What's your argument? Don't jump into my head.
You see, you have made a point. Hold on. You have... Please. You don't determine to me... You don't determine to me...
Did I say that?
Oh, why this uneasiness?
No,
you don't determine to me. You said, and let me quote him. You said that people are talking about the fact that Sinamos and the issue of Sinamos, he and Justice Atuguba came to the... Hold on.
I said that probably continuity and stability.
Exactly, he mentioned that as well. But that's fine, please carry on.
And I say you want to stretch that argument. That argument, please.
Put a caveat there. The stability and continuity. You leave that out. That thing starts hanging.
Please allow. No, I don't know where this uneasiness. I don't know where this uneasiness is coming from. No. You see, Honorable Obiama, please allow him.
But you should not misquote me.
That's fine. What I said. Wait, just a minute.
So we
very well. We are looking at the nomination of Justice Sophia Ekuffo. Obiama, please.
I have several things to say.
Just please relax.
Go ahead and say it and stop.
Please relax. We will carry on this issue. We are looking at the nomination of Justice Sophia Ekuffo by the President as CJ, of course, pending parliamentary approval. Honorable Mutala, please carry on.
I will still make the points anyway. It doesn't matter whether anybody made any statement. I am saying that argument is completely wobbling. If anyone argues that the fact that this person, for the purposes of so-called stability, and I am saying even on that same vein, then we could go beyond just Justice Atuguba and look at justices on the Supreme Court who would ensure that more stability. People who are still supposed to be on the bench for the next 10 years. If we want to stretch that argument, and are also equally qualified.
That wasn't the only thing.
Please. You don't determine to me what the kind of discussions I have here.
Of course not. It's a conversation we are having, so I can
That is why he wants to. You can. I haven't quoted you.
Honorable Obiama, please.
I haven't quoted you.
Honorable Mutala Mohammed, carry on.
I just made a comment for a minute.
That's fine.
Keep talking and then
no, that's fine. Honorable Obiama, just
perhaps.
Please, take it easy and then we'll come.
No,
please.
Don't do it this
Honorable Obiama, just relax and let's have Honorable Murtala Mohammed
I will still make those. I will still make those same points. This argument of stability and the fact that this person, in fact, would be retiring very soon, and another person has about 3, even a year was given, about 3.5 years. I'm saying if we want to go by that same logic, then let's move beyond just Atuguba and look at other justices on the Supreme Court who would have 10 years or 7 years. That ensures more stability. And if that argument is an argument that people find extremely, unacceptable, then I don't know what kind of discussions we can have here. And that is why I said, I wouldn't want to reduce it to who appointed her to the Supreme Court and who is appointing her. I want to agree with Doctor. Let's look at competence. And there is no question in anybody's mind about her capability and ability to serve as what? The Chief Justice. It is the prerogative of the President to appoint a Chief Justice based on one competence and other issues that may not be known to us. And I'm saying that in America, such appointments are also based on ideological position and the political party or the appointing authority at that particular time. Now, if you look at Neil, who was appointed, if the Democrat had won elections, he certainly might not be the person they would have appointed. They would have also appointed somebody who ideologically agrees with the ideological position of the Democratic Party. So I want to look at competence, and I think that she's deserving. And I said, I got to know much about her in terms of her legal opinions when I was in the law school. And I can only say that we commend her. What we expect from her is the independence. And she has demonstrated repeatedly in her position on very important issues that she is an independent-minded person. It doesn't matter her relationship with the president. It doesn't. What we expect her to do is to put aside any relationship or ideological position and look at justice delivery in this country. And for me, that should be of cosmic concern to all political parties and individuals, regardless their shapes and understanding of what we expect to have as a legal system.
Okay, let me have Prof come in now. Prof yes, clearly the issue has, it narrows down to competence. Who appoints from, whatever background, really, does not matter, according to what Honorable Murtala is saying. What do you see about this?
Let's start from the beginning.
Nominations.
Good morning to your, to your viewers, and definitely a happy Mother's Day in advance to all mothers, mothers to be, and of course to the incoming Chief Justice and the outgoing Chief Justice. I think we've got to look at this. I will look at it from what the laws of this land says. The laws of the land allows the President of the Republic to nominate a Chief Justice status. And I thought we would start by even congratulating His Excellency the President for actually acting quickly to prevent any anxieties, because there were rumors that the Chief Justice may stay longer and all sorts of things. So by acting to prevent, as the President said yesterday, any vacuum, he has acted in a way to provide some stability for the country. That is good. Number two, from both sides of the political divide, we've heard clearly that the nominated person has excellent integrity and competence and ability. Now, anytime we start talking about appointments in Ghana, people wade into so many things, but the laws of the land are clear. The President makes the choice. The President is the #1 citizen, and yes, several factors may come in. If you want to make mischief, they will say, well, this ideology, that ideology. I believe, and I've read from both sides, several sides, that everyone agrees that this is a competent person, it's a well-chosen person, and everyone believes that should be independent. And I think the President said something yesterday that we should also add. The President said he wants to see the independence of the judiciary, and he hopes that he can work with the incoming Chief Justice to ensure that that independence is maintained. So as a country, we'll say that we are entering into a new era. That new era is where the executive is clearly saying that judiciary, much as we choose your boss, we want to see and feel that separation of powers. Indeed, the President added that we will resource you as well to ensure that you do your job well. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a job well done, whether she was appointed by NDC and she's been as a Chief Justice. The fact that she was appointed straight to the Supreme Court, from the bar, not from the bench, also should tell you the respect with which she's held in. And she's done so many other things for Ghana. So I think we have an excellent person. She's done a good job. She has history having worked with the President as well. Is that good or bad? I will be good into it. If I have to make a choice, and I know people's integrity, and I know them from a long ago time, we're talking about a country. I'll make a choice that I can defend. And I think I'll congratulate them. the president. And I think the brouhaha going on is that people want to find a story out of no story. We've chosen someone everyone agrees is excellent.
Right.
All that we are trying to find is how can we quarrel about that one.
Yeah.
Let us move on from there. She's
right.
excellent. And I think the choice just before Mother's Day, much as was not necessarily planned, it's actually a nice gift to Ghanaians. So,
right.
President Yadasi, we thank you for this
Very well.
gift.
I don't think it'll be on definitely you touch on that, but also in your submissions, if you could touch on, you know, she's coming in at a time, Justice Ekufu is coming at a time when Justice Georgina Wood has been known to have done a number of great works, you know, within the judiciary during her tenure. You know, a lot of things in terms of even monumentally, you're looking at the new law complex. In terms of programs, you're looking at not she building it, but during her tenure, and indeed that is worth mentioning as well. And in terms of programs, you have the Justice for All program, which is, you know, vibrant now and everything. So she's stepping into, you know, some big shoes here. Yet there is this issue about the perception of the judiciary that we're still grappling with. What would you recommend, for instance, if you had the opportunity to talk to her? Be there certain key areas that perhaps you should look out for, given that she has barely less than 3 years to make an impact?
Well, thank you again. Well, if you talk about Justice Sophia Kufu, she's very competent. Indeed, when she was in private practice, she was more known to be the corporate practice. The company law, etc., that she was known to be very good. And people were a bit surprised that even at the age of 46, she had agreed to go to the bench. Because, of course, moving from the bar to the bench has its own issues, challenges, in the sense that you are no more a private person when you move to the bench. Because you become a public figure and then you take decisions as a judge. So at that early age when she moved in, people were a bit surprised. But if you look at her record, since being on the bench at the Supreme Court, including her position at the Pan-African Human Rights Court, the Commonwealth courts, and then of course even the ADR task force. Right. Obviously she has had a very good career. Sterling performance. And then her track record indicates that indeed she's really acquitted herself very well to be able to hold this position. Right. To the extent that she's even stepping into the shoes of Georgina Wood, she's been part of the system. And a lot of programs that under Chief Justice Wood have been carried out to the extent that if she's also part of this group, then we expect that she would probably even improve upon what Justice Wood managed to do.
But we're looking at a time frame of barely 3 years as against Justice Georgina Wood's almost 10 years.
Very well.
So what kind of impact are we likely to? And that's why I'm asking what would be perhaps the priority areas,
you know. We come back to the point that I was making. I did not just say that because she has more years. What I said was that if we were to consider the seniors, the most seniors, which were the two, or which are the two, Atukuba and herself, so she would have more time to execute what probably we all expect her to do, flowing from her
period of
term of following what Justice Wood has been able to do. That was the point I was making. That if we're looking at stability and credibility, or stability
and continuity,
they were to pick those two. Of course, the president could even have picked somebody from outside the bench.
Yeah, that option.
And then could have said, "Oh, this person has 20 years to retire, so let me send him there." But that was not the point that I was made. The point was between the two people. But as I said, if you want to know even the background of Sophia Kufu, the most important thing for you to do probably is to go through her judgments. The judgments will give you an idea of what she espouses, what she believes in. From the human rights side, if you read, she's very strict when it comes to human rights issues. And the typical example was the Mutiwa. If you read her judgment on company law issues, corporate issues, you see that she really understands what she's all about. And if you talk about intellectualism, you can really say that she's really an intellectual, a scholar, and she's very serious about her work. And this ran through the judgments that she's given or she's taking part in. When you go through every law report that you read, if you want to know how Sophia Kufu operates or how, or her ideology, if you want to put it in quotes, her judgments will be able to tell you that this is her direction and this is how she thinks the law should be. Of course, being on the bench at the highest level also means that you help in shaping the law.
Sure.
Because if your judgments will become law, even irrespective of what Parliament has passed. If you interpret it and your interpretation, you say that this is what the law should be, that's what the law will be. So obviously, that is very critical. And she, as a head of the judiciary, would certainly steer the judiciary towards what we all expect. What does the Constitution say? What are the human rights issues? Even we may say that she's pro-business. Pro-business in the sense that how do we use the law to enhance business? And that's an area that you think that she's very strong. So by and large, I think that having had experience of being on a bench, Supreme Court bench, for over 20 years, about 22 years, you say that she's experienced enough to be able to step in the shoes of Judge Dawood. And having been part of the whole team, obviously she would have experienced what probably are the challenges and how to surmount these challenges, given probably the short period that she has to operate.
Right. And let me go to Doc, yes.
Yeah, I think, you see, there's a common saying that every police constable wants to become an IGP one day. And if Madam Justice Sophia Kufu today, she has 2 years or maybe just a little bit above to go on retirement, and she's on it.
December 2019.
Yes, let's say 2 years, and she's on it.
2017, the rest of 2017,
18, like 2.5 or so, yes.
Yes, so I think she's blessed. But you see, the point is this, and we need to be a little bit cautious not to over-exaggerate the whole concept of competence within the context of what she's supposed to do. And I'll give you a typical example. A prof can attest to that. We, in our job is to teach and conduct research. So if you are good at that, you become a professor. And as a professor, you are likely to become a vice-chancellor. A vice-chancellor is an administrative position. You're looking at somebody who can think outside the box, who can raise money, move the university, publicize it. In fact, at that position, you probably will not engage in what? In research. You understand what I'm saying? So Madam Sophia Kufu is a brilliant woman, very good at the law, but her position now is an administrator.
But then,
no, I'm coming. But not only that. No, you have to understand the context in which I'm trying to develop. You're a journalist. You are good at interviewing people. They should make you CEO of TV3. You may have a problem because you are looking at what? Administrative position. You are looking at how you can move the system. Even though I applaud her and the president, and I do acknowledge the fact that, look, her level of integrity and honesty has relevance in the job that she's going to do. But we are talking about how do you manage strikes? JUSAC, they'll go on strike. You understand what I'm saying? We are talking of, what do you call it, attorneys and stuff like that. So where she's going to is a different ball game altogether. And I think it's important for us to understand it within that context. The issue of, she being close to the president and stuff like that, and even when you listen to some of these media houses, the issue of nepotism and all those things. Look, as a country like Ghana where we have tribes, you understand what I'm saying? We have ethnic groups, we have affiliations and associations. These things definitely are bound to happen. In the sense that, look, if there's a position that Honorable Obiamwa needs to give out, and I'm contesting for that position, and another person is also contesting that he has never met the person, naturally, he will think of me first because of the relationship that we have. It's natural.
You have a job for him.
I'm loving it. It's natural. So if the president...
But then there are checks and balances that would have to come in here.
There needs to be checks and balances. There's no doubt about it, because it's a political system. You understand what I'm saying? It's a political system. But I think on this particular nomination, when specifically you nail it to the position of the Chief Justice and the lady being appointed, I don't think the president can be faulted in any way. I think anybody in the president position definitely, I don't think we'll be wrong in choosing her.
Very well. We need to wrap up on this and move on to that. But quickly, Honorable Murtala Mohammed, and then I come to you, Prof. What would you, if you had an opportunity to, you know, tell Justice Ekufu, as in your 2 years or in your 2.5 years, focus on these areas given? What would you say to her?
We are told that a judge is like an arbiter between more or less life and death. The decision a judge takes on a case can determine your fate, whether you can live as a free man or you can live as someone who is not free, depending on the decision the judge takes. The extent to which a chief justice, who indeed would need the cooperation of the other justices, and for me that is very critical. She is not coming to work as an individual. Even though she is the chief justice, of course, she needs the support and the cooperation of the other justices on the bench.
A difficult time.
There are a lot of challenges that the judiciary is facing today. In fact, judicial service, if you look at even employees and others, the concerns, there is also corruption. I remember Justice Georgina Wood herself said that yes, there are a lot of cases of corruption within the judicial system, and some justices were even sacked. Anna's case is a classical example. So these are some of the things that she's coming to meet. These are huge challenges. I expect her to demonstrate the competence, the credibility, and the independence. Let us also not pretend that in appointing a chief justice, the appointing authority at that time will not be considering a chief justice that he can gel with. That is very critical. I don't think that President Nana Addo would want to appoint a chief justice who he would consider as someone who would be antagonistic in his
that's
view.
That's where the ideology comes in.
Yes, I'm saying that he would want to take into consideration. You see, our democracy is very young. And there are certain things that we shouldn't just expect that we can do it like the most advanced democracies who have indeed practiced democracy for over 200 years. And that is why I don't want us to look at it in that perspective. As to whether the position of those justices within the Supreme Court and as to who will be appointed, we need to be very, very careful as to the kind of analysis that we make. And that is why I didn't want to look at it on ideological position. But we do know that in appointing a chief justice, you would want to take into consideration.
Exactly. So essentially, the optics are different,
yes,
and the reality is there.
Exactly. But you see, we live in a part of a country that it doesn't matter who you appoint. I believe if President Nana Addo had appointed Justice Atogba or Duchi or any of the justices, there would have been the same argument. Maybe perhaps the positions would have shifted. That the very people who are now questioning the appointment of Justice Akufu would have been those who would be defending the appointment of either Atogba or Duchi or any of the justices. But in terms of competence, like I said, almost every single justice of the Supreme Court have all demonstrated competence in terms of the kind of rulings and positions that they have taken on serious, legal issues. We have a lot to do in this country. I would tell her that the confidence with which the people of this country, regardless political shades, that everybody is saying that she's competent, she has been in the practice. Take 23 years out of my age. I'm looking at the very time that she was appointed. If you take it out, you say that, no, this is not a mean achievement. And you can say that about all the justices on the Supreme Court. She needs to demonstrate absolute independence. It is very common that you expect that, okay, with this person, I can have my way. And you'll be shocked that with that kind of a person, that is where you have a lot of difficulty. Now, we must, the cooperation, and for me, that is sine qua non to the success that she may achieve or not. The cooperation of the other justices on the Supreme Court.
Sure, great. Prof.
Well, I mean, I think most of my colleagues have said what I was going to say, but Honorable said something which I will just follow on, because I think the President made that very, very clear in appointing Justice Akufu, that he wanted independence of the judiciary, and he did allude to the fact that the image should be enhanced. But over and beyond that, there are a lot of things confronting us now that if one has a chance, one would hint the incoming Chief Justice. For starters, we all know that she's working with a team. The judiciary is an institution, not an individual. It's been there, and hopefully to be there forever for this country. So for me, I know that she's just going to continue. But what legacy do we expect her to leave? What mark do you want her to make? For me, first and foremost, having come from the corporate world and considering the current vision of Ghana to be business friendly, in fact, quote unquote, to be open for business again, one is hoping that she would find ways of making sure that Ghana is indeed open for business. That business people will feel that the legal framework within this country is the place you want to put your money.
To enhance the
Trust me, there's no way we're going to make money
Yeah.
and move this country to prosperity if people do not feel or trust that their investments are secure. We normally go into so many other things which are social in context, but I think the main thing is business. Without making money, without making Ghana a place to make money legally and genuinely, and for people to feel like if I leave my money here, my money is safe. We are not going to move this country forward. So that is one big challenge that we'll throw to her, that she's been around. Fortunately, she's been in the business side and she understands the challenges and the frustrations. Now she's in government. Now she's the Chief Justice. What is she going to leave to this country as a legacy? Considering all that is going on, too many initiatives, that will all need the rule of law. Right. And so our hope and our prayer is that she will make Ghana business friendly and that she would make sure that Ghana business booms. Because people will say there is a businesswoman as the Chief Justice. That is a country open for business.
Right. Cool. And just to make reference to, you know, some records put off from the Judicial Service in terms of the list of Chief Justices and then their periods in office. I mean, quite a number of them were in office for 2 years, 4 years, you know. The highest really is with Georgina Theodora Wood, which is 10. I think Justice Apalu had about 9 years. Otherwise, typically it's, you know, 2, 4, 6, really. So
when Justice Georgina Wood was appointed, she wasn't the most senior.
Oh, but of course, that argument really, seniority really doesn't come in. And like Honorable said, the president could have gone outside.
But I think the beauty of the appointment is that it starts and finishes within the term of His Excellency Nana. And the beauty is that this allows her to focus really on achieving the vision of the president, in that let's support making Ghana work.
Exactly.
Really, and let's leave the politics for someone else to do it in 2020.
Her ladyship, Justice Sophia Kufu, all the best. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will continue with this.
I was going to talk about her appearance before the Appointments Committee.
Right.
The kind of issues that...
FM 92.7 Accra.
When the news breaks, reporters and anchors broadcast it.
Mother is a nurturer, a source of hope and strength for each and every one of us. As we celebrate Mother's Day on the 14th of May, I entreat you to celebrate with us. I'm Natalie Fort. My mother has served as a best friend to me, as a leader and a source of inspiration at each and every stage of my life. Without our mothers, I don't know where we would be as a community and our society, as they played a pivotal role in our lives. On the 14th of May, on Mother's Day, we at TV3 hope that you will help us celebrate your mothers.
Watch Mother's Day celebration live on TV3 this Sunday at 3 p.m. Don't miss it. It's brought to you by Royal Aroma Rice, Tasty Tom, Enriched Tomato Mix, Onga, Mama's Helping Hand, Verna, Natural Mineral Water, Mother Care from Dream Cosmetics, Auntie Mary's Gripe Mixture from Ernest Chemist, Royal Drinks.